What have you got there? A cardboard box? Yeah, remember that trick? That's the snake I remember. Those poor fools won't know what hit them.
Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Tainted Child and today we are doing something slightly different than what I would normally do on the channel. We are going back to Metal Gear Solid 1, one of my favourite games of all time, because we are going to do one of the most ridiculous challenges I've ever come across, the cardboard box only challenge. It is so ridiculous that I just could not turn it down. So before we begin, let's get to the rules. Rule number 1, you can only move when the box is equipped. This doesn't apply to the beginning of the game, vents, acquiring the FAMAS, PSG-1, the cell escape, or the boss fight with Liquid and the escape route scenarios due to in-game factors, such as the box not having enough clearance to get under lasers, and that you don't have the item available. Also, when equipping a gun or an item that forces you out of the box, you can only move via CQC movements or spinning on the spot. Anything else counts as moving and you must reset. And finally guys, no glitches allowed. You cannot skip anything, you cannot utilise bugs, you have to do this the proper way. Another quick disclaimer guys is that I am recording the voiceover in real time. I'm watching the footage back and I'm reacting along with you, so none of it is scripted, so I do apologise in advance if some of the stuff that I come out with is absolutely convoluted and mad. You should be used to that by now if you are a regular on the channel. If not and you would like to see my other Metal Gear Solid playthroughs, feel free to click the link in the description below, because I've done Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, Snake Tales and Delta. So as you can see here, the beginning of the game starts as normal. We troll some guards by having them chase our footsteps around for a while. We bypass this camera and make our way to the ventilation system that will take us into the tank hangar. Very easy, very simple. I didn't even bother collecting the items here. I just wanted to get straight through as quickly as I could so we could get our box. I also pick up the Socom on the way because, you know, we need that. We take the elevator down to the basement where we meet the DARPA chief, where he gives us the card needed to obtain the box. We kick some guards in the face, which is great fun. We get the Socom suppressor as well because that always comes in handy. And now we finally have the cardboard box, guys. We can start the challenge! Now before we even leave the room, I come across the first obstacle. Opening doors. Yes, this is no joke. Opening doors is really problematic in this challenge. I spend more time readjusting the box and trying to position Snake in the right way so the door doesn't shut in our face than I did fighting the bosses. This may as well be called trying to open door simulator. Like, it's absolutely horrendous. Well, we make our way through the tank hangar, we go down to the basement, which is the armory, and we collect a few items to prepare ourselves for the first boss battle against Revolver Ocelot, who, by the way, is one of my favourite characters, and I don't care what anybody says, he is the absolute God spy of this franchise. He has his hands in absolutely everything. He was there before the beginning even happened, and he was there right at the very end. I could talk for decades about it, but I'm just going to bypass that now. Maybe I'll talk about it again in another video or something like that. But for now, we have made our way to the arena by blowing up some walls. And now, yes, this is real what you are seeing here. You have to fight the bosses whilst in the box. Did I come in here with a plan? Nope, I fully intended on doing this the normal way, the way that I always do, just bait him, going up and down and backwards and forwards and shooting when on the reload. Did that go to plan? As you can see, it absolutely did not, and the reason for that is because there is such a significant delay between unequipping the box and equipping your gun that we ended up taking a lot of damage. Not only that, but when you're in the box you don't move as quickly as you would without it, so that also leaves us open to more attack. I didn't take any of this into account, and as you can see, I genuinely struggled with this. I couldn't catch up with him. I missed the hit on many reloads, and I was just going round and round and round, and it came really, really close to the wire. But eventually, I did take him down, and we move on to the next section. But of course, once again, I get hindered by a door, because doors are the #1 enemy, guys. They are the #1 enemy. Look, I spend more time repositioning and using Snake's CQC to move him into position, because as per the rules, you can use CQC movements because the punch gives that momentum to push Snake forward. And you can see here, I have to use that tactic a lot. And this is why I kept it in, so you could see. Look at this. Look at this, it's absolutely horrendous. But again, we come across another section which, unfortunately, you can't go through with the box because the lasers are too low down, so the box doesn't have the height clearance to be able to get through. Ended up getting myself killed and then went through on my belly. I was really hoping that there was a way around this, but unfortunately there isn't. The box just doesn't have the clearance to do it. So I checked around for a little while just to make sure I hadn't left anything behind, because you never know, guys. You never know. We head back to the tank hangar and call Merrill, who is the only one who can open the cargo door, which leads to the next section. But before then, we come across another hurdle, and that hurdle is the laser trap. Now, on a normal run, you would smoke a cigarette, see the lasers going up and down, and make your way through and avoid them as you go. I decided to test a theory beforehand to see if the momentum of the CQC punch could get us through, but as you can see there, it was an epic fail, and I'd have to reset anyway, because that's pushing the rules just a little bit more than I would like. So before we go back to tackle that, I grabbed the mine detector, because I completely forgot that we desperately need this for the next section of the game. Now, usually I wouldn't bother with the mine detector. I would just crawl along the floor and collect claymore mines as we go, but we cannot do that whilst inside the box, so it is absolutely necessary to get the mine detector. As you can see here, we are back with the lasers, and it is a painstaking journey of going from a box to cigarettes, watching the lines, playing guesswork to see where they're going to be, and hope that we get through without triggering them. It was a very slow process, but we made it through with little to no problems, other than the fact that I'd spent more time readjusting Snake to open the door. But it is what it is, and we move on to the next section. As you can see here, I'm unable to see the mines whilst in the box, and I have to switch out of the box to use the mine detector to be able to see them. But just one quick look, I can see where they all are, and now I know how to avoid them. Because the last thing that we would want right now, especially with this low health, is to run into a claymore mine just before the start of the battle against the M1 tank. So you guys are probably sitting there thinking, okay Tainted, did you learn your lesson from the Revolver Ocelot fight? Did you pre-plan before you went in? Did you take into account that there is a delay between unequipping the box and equipping the weapon? Nope. Absolutely not. I went in thinking I could do this perfectly normal, no problems at all, didn't take any of that into account, and as you can see, I got crushed. And I also made the mistake again, because I decided to walk into a claymore mine instead of checking the mine detector, because usually I don't have the mine detector. There is a lot of that in this run, by the way. There is a lot of things that I have to do in this run that I wouldn't usually do, so it's completely changed my gameplay style, so it has made things a lot more interesting from my perspective anyway. But as you can see here, we do take down the tank eventually. We take a lot of damage as well, but we get through it with relative ease once I take in the account of the delay. But with the destruction of the M1 tank, we now move on to the nuclear storage facility. Now, I have no problems going through here. Box or no box, it is exactly the same either way. I never go left, I always go right up the stairs, as you can see here, that way through to the elevator. Very simple, no problems. Going through here, the only problem again were the doors. Other than that, we was able to collect a lot of items and grab everything that we possibly could along the way through, including the missile launcher, the Nikita missile launcher, which we needed to take downstairs to the next level to destroy the supercomputer that controls the electrified floor. Wow, try saying that 3 times fast. Which is preventing us from getting to the lab where Otacon is. Now, at this stage, I really didn't have any problems. I was really chilled out, enjoying the challenge. I mean, it is a really fun challenge. It really is amazing. But then something hit me. And I was genuinely concerned because the next boss fight was against Grey Fox. Now, this was one of those times when you realise how difficult this is going to be. Because against Grey Fox, you can't use weaponry. He will deflect all your bullets. So it's a battle of the fist. It's CQC. But also, you need to be fast. You need to be on your feet. You have to have quick reactions. My tactic that I genuinely use is the bait and switch. But it's not that easy when you are handicapped with the box. Your movement is completely restricted. You have to line up exactly in the place that you want to hit, otherwise you are gonna miss. If you are facing the wrong way, if you are 1 pixel out, or if you don't get out of the way of his attacks fast enough, you are going to get crushed. And I was worried. This fight took a heck of a long time. I think it was like 9.5 minutes or something like that it took in the end. It was painstaking. And as you can see, I ended up using the chaff grenades. Now, this is something I only recently found out about. All my years of playing Metal Gear Solid, the amount of runs I've done of this game since it first came out is just absolutely unreal. And I didn't know about the chaff grenades. Like, it didn't even occur to me that this was a thing. And I had to use that in this boss fight because I had to try and figure out a way to stall him, to slow him down, to get into the hits. So he's in a position where I can line up exactly the way I need to be able to land that punch. And that was not easy, especially because you have to avoid him as well. But luckily we managed to do it. And the little plan I had in mind by using the chaff grenades, which like I said was something I only found out about recently, it worked and we was able to take down the first real roadblock in the run. It was at this point in the run where I realised I was really going to have to start crafting plans ready for the next boss fights because I didn't realise how tough this was going to be and it was only going to get tougher. Now, the next boss in line is Psycho Mantis. He is okay in a normal run, as long as you know what you are doing, as long as you know that at the start of the fight you switch over to controller port 2 and then you are able to hit him. If you don't, then none of your bullets will connect because he can predict what you're going to do. As long as you do that, it's fine, and that is the case with this challenge as well. You still need to move over to control port 2, but there is a problem, and there was something that I was really worried about, and it wasn't the boss fight itself, it was Meryl, because there are moments during the boss fight where Psycho Mantis will control Meryl and make her shoot you, or even shoot herself, and you have to react fast, you have to be able to knock her out. So again, just like with Grey Fox, you have to line yourself up exactly to be able to punch Meryl and knock her out. I know that sounds cruel, but it is the only way to get past this section and to stop her from dying during this boss fight, because if she dies, it's an automatic game over. So that was the problem here, and it was a concern because I legitimately thought that I wouldn't be able to line myself up, and if I was 1 pixel out, she would end up unaliving herself, or I would end up getting myself killed because I spent too much time readjusting. Other than that, the boss fight really did just play out as it normally would. Towards the end, it was a bit problematic, but the only reason for that is because he will dart around the room and constantly appear and reappear and throw like the psychic balls at you, and the box is limited in its movement, as we have previously seen, so there were times I wasn't quick enough to be able to catch him in time or position myself in a way that could shoot him, so it was a slow process. But other than that, it was pretty good. I mean, the Psycho Mantis boss fight is fun anyway. It's, you know, it's one of those Metal Gear Solid, like, I don't know how you would describe it. It is one of the most legendary boss fights, and there are a few in the franchise. There are a few boss fights that just stick with you. Like, for example, Fat Man from Metal Gear Solid 2. It sticks with me because I hate it so much. Me and Fat Man, we have beef. I do not like him at all. I do not like the boss fight. It just does my head in. But that is why Metal Gear Solid is so good, because it's able to keep these fights inside your head for the long term, and Psycho Mantis is definitely one of them. Now, as you can see here, we are at that stage now, towards the end of the fight, where he is leaping about all over the place from one side of the arena to the other. I decide to stay in the middle and hope that I can readjust and things like that, but you can see that I am getting hit a lot. I'm trying to move, I'm trying to see where he is, but your reaction times are slowed because you have to transition from the box to a weapon. I did try using the stun grenade. I've never tried that before with Psycho Mantis, and it just turns out that it actually has no effect whatsoever, so it was pointless, but I was trying to find a way to slow him down so I had more of a chance to be able to catch up to him. But you can see this was a bit of a nightmare. My life my life bar got really close to the red, and it was just slow and painful. But in the end, we did take out Psycho Mantis, and soon it would be time to move on to the next section. One that I was even more concerned about. Now, before we get to the next boss fight, we have to make our way through the caves, which is never a problem. Unfortunately, though, in this run it is, because the box doesn't have enough clearance to get under these little crawl paths here, so we do have to unequip and then re-equip when we get out from the other side. We throw a stun grenade to stun all the wolves, and we quickly make our way to the other side where Meryl is waiting for us. How she got here before us, I have no idea. That's something I've never been able to explain. Meryl then shows us where all the mines are, but it's completely pointless because all you need to do is walk forward, and then, unfortunately for us, she gets shot down by Sniper Wolf, which means we need to head all the way back to the armory to get the PSG-1. So there isn't really anything challenge specific to mention as we backtrack to the armory, because it's stuff that we've just rehashed and done anyway, but there are some significant environmental changes that are worth noting, which can be potentially problematic, not just in this challenge run but also in a general normal one if you were not expecting them. For example, here in the canyon where we fought the M1 tank, there are now guns mounted onto cameras, and there are more claymore mines laying around on the floor. As you can see as well, I do make the mistake of walking straight into them, and I do end up getting a game over. But it is what it is, you know, these things are going to happen, especially when you have to move from box to item over and over again and shift him around to make sure that you are not going to be in the firing range. There is also no lasers in the laser trap anymore, which is great. They have been deactivated so we can go straight through to the armory, and there are also guards that now patrol the armory itself. These aren't really a problem either. If you just stand back for a few moments and map the movements of the AI, it really isn't a problem. But we do get the PSG-1 by going through this door here, which I have to rearrange myself for again when there is a guard standing right there, because this is door simulation after all. But we do get the PSG-1. We do have to come out of the box to do it because the box doesn't have enough clearance to get under the lasers, just like with the FAMAS, but we get it, and now we have to return back, which again is another rehash. We just follow it round as we did with the last time, go through, and that is pretty much that until we get to the Sniper Wolf boss fight. You are now probably wondering, Tainted, please tell us you learned your lesson and you pre-planned before you went into this boss fight. Yes, I did. I know, that is a massive shocker, but yes, I did. I did go in pre-prepared, and the reason for that is because there were going to be significant handicaps that I had to take into account. The biggest one being the massive time delay between going from box to PSG1 and back again. And the reason for this is because Snake automatically lays down when you equip the PSG1, but when you unequip it, he doesn't automatically stand up, and that delay can cost you completely, especially if you are unable to keep an eye on where Sniper Wolf is going to be, or if you have to move around the arena because you have got hit. Well, as you can see here, to start off with, it's not really an issue. I managed to use a diazepam to stop the shakes. I mean, I can do this boss fight without the diazepam, but it is just handy. But as you can see here, I did get hit, and we are unable to move from this position. You can see the mistake there as well. I was going to go back into the box and move, but I decided to go back into the PSG1. And it is problematic because now I've lost her and I was able to bring it back. But there was that moment there where I was thinking, oh God, this is over. This is over. I'm going to get shot and I'm not going to be able to move. But as you can see, we got it done. Even though I pre-planned for everything, I still ended up getting shot anyway. But we make our way now to the communication towers. We collect everything along the way, and in the back of my mind right now, all I am thinking is we have to fight Sniper Wolf again in the snowfield, which is a massive arena. Now, don't come at me for this one. I did end up submitting during the torture scene. Now, usually I would do this because I prefer the good ending, but unfortunately my carpal tunnel syndrome has become significantly worse over the past few months. I am awaiting surgery, and there's no way that my hands would be able to cope with the repetitive button bashing that is needed to survive the torture. So sadly, this does come with a detrimental ending change, which is we lose Meryl and we leave with Otacon instead. But we get through it, we break out of the cell, which is one of those times where we don't have the box, so it goes through as normal. But we do get our box back, and now we have to backtrack once again. That's right, guys, we are taken again for the third time right back to the beginning of the game, and we have to make our way back to the communication towers, which is, honest to God, the hardest section in this challenge. And I didn't make it any easier for myself either. On a normal run, there are two different ways in which you can tackle the communication towers. The first one is run and gun. You equip the FAMAS and you just peg it and you kill everything in your way. But then there's also the way that I do it, which is repetitively throwing stun grenades, knocking them all out without having to kill anyone, and just absolutely run to the top. Now, this is a wonderful strategy. They both are. But it does not work when you are in the box. And as you can see here, I die over and over and over and over again. I can't even tell you how many times I died during this segment. It was doing my head in. I didn't have any claymore mines to post at the entrance, so it would delay the guards because I was unable to crawl and pick them up during the canyon segment. I wasn't able to be quick enough to throw stun grenades because when you unequip the box you must remain motionless, and there is not only a delay to get out of the box and equip the stun grenades, but there is also a delay in which they detonate. So this was an absolute nightmare, and honest to God, most of this came down to luck. I did use the FAMAS, which is something I don't usually do. But as you can see, when you are cornered and you are in the centre of a staircase, you are going to get absolutely annihilated. So I would love to say that I had a plan, which I did. It failed. I would also love to say that whatever tactic you put in place will work. I can't guarantee that either. What I can guarantee is that getting up to the top of those communication towers in order to see the first appearance of the Hind, it's luck. It is pure luck. That's what it comes down to. The only advice that I can actually give you, which guarantees you an extra few seconds to run up the communication towers, is when you get to the door, before the camera alerts the guards, you throw a grenade in. Do not enter the door, throw a grenade, because what will happen, it will detonate, it will sound the alarm, but you won't get the cutscene, which means you get an extra couple of seconds to peg it up those stairs. Other than that, it's all down to luck. Anyway, what happens now is that we run down a bunch of stairs because we avoided the hind. You can see here as well, and I forgot to mention this box here actually has a green thing around it, and that's because it was another box that I found. It's the one for the nuclear storage building. So you will often see me switching between red and green. There's no tactical reason for this. I just liked changing the colour. We run into Otacon again, who fixed the lift for us, and once again I hit a problem, but it's not for the box reasons, it's because I'm an absolute idiot and I didn't stockpile chaff grenades. You can see I tried to find other ways to take out these gun cameras. Can I hit them with stingers and all that kind of thing, because in the other Metal Gear games you can shoot the cameras to knock them out of commission. It didn't work. It didn't work at all, but we get to the top and now we fight the hind. Again, there isn't really anything challenge specific to mention during this boss fight. It did play out the way that I usually do. You just stick between this metal crate on the right hand side and the doorway entrance to avoid the majority of the gunfire. You can also stand there to avoid its massive missiles. Other than that, it's just tracking as normal. Use the radar, which I do anyway when I play this game specifically. I very rarely actually look at Snake. I'm looking at the camera because I'm watching the movements of the guards and things like that all the time. And this is a skill that is definitely needed for this fight. You can see the red dot there. You literally stand in the same place, again with the box, makes no difference to if you was without the box, and you just watch it go round, and when it rises up, you shoot it with the Stinger missile. We took down the hind, as you can see, and we make our way back to Otacon. And we are now about to face another section which I thought was going to be a roadblock, and that's the Stealth 4. But I was actually really surprised. It wasn't that much of a problem. I thought I was going to get absolutely annihilated, where we have to stand motionless and obviously move around in the box to change direction. But it wasn't that bad. It was literally just a spray and pray situation, and I ended up getting it done. I actually surprised myself. But now we hit another roadblock. The boss fight that I was dreading in this challenge. We are about to face Sniper Wolf for the second time in the snowfield. As you can see, I did hit another problem, and that was this stupid turret gun camera. I thought I would be okay in the box and I could just scoot by without having to use a chaff grenade. That wasn't the case, and this one and these ones in this hallway caused me nothing but drama. Doors and gun turret cameras. They are the bane of my life. But as you can see here, we are about to face off against Sniper Wolf. And the reason why I was so worried about this one is for the same reasons as the first fight, because we have to be stationary the whole time, and there is a massive delay between going from the box to the PSG-1. I did use the diazepam as well to keep my hands straight. That way it means there was less chance of me getting hit and more chance of me hitting her, so I wouldn't have that, you know, that delay. It didn't pan out exactly as I planned, because I did end up getting hit a few times, but luckily enough I was able to recover and track her quick enough. Now, there is a way that I could have done this easier. I could have used the Nikita missiles and just moved it around so it could hit her, which is an instant kill. I don't like doing it that way. I have never done it that way, and I didn't intend on doing it in this challenge because it just felt completely wrong. But it wasn't as difficult as I believed it was going to be, which is an absolute godsend, because when I first went in I was like, right, pre-plan, come up with tactics, what are we going to do? She's going to be a nightmare. What if she hits me and I won't be able to recover quick enough, and then I'll lose her and she'll hit me again? But none of that was actually a problem. What the problem was this door here again. There are claymore mines on the floor, and I was trying to throw in grenades and all kinds of stuff to try and blow up these claymores on the floor because I wanted the items that were in there, but there was no way to do it, and I had to leave the items behind. I was gutted because I wanted them so badly. I can't even remember what is actually available in there, but I was just gutted because I wasn't able to get them without blowing myself up. So we go through this little hallway here, avoiding the gun cameras, and we move on to Disc 2. We are coming towards endgame now, guys, as we enter the blast furnace. Now, we immediately come across another problem. Unfortunately, this is one that cannot be fixed in any possible way, so we have to do it the normal way. And that is bypassing the crane, as we have to shimmy along the wall. Now, just to show you that it is impossible to do this in the box, I did it here just for your reference. The second you try and equip the box, when you are backed up against that wall, you fall directly into the lava. Now, you're probably thinking, Tame, there is a lift in the corner, why not just get in the lift? Well, I would have got in the lift, but unfortunately it is currently stuck at the bottom. The only way to go through here is to go through this crane section. It's annoying, I know, and it is another rule break, but it is what it is. You'll see in a second that I will show you that the lift is at the bottom floor, so you know that there isn't any way to call it up to just bypass this section. See here, it is on the bottom, it just is what it is. We go up and down just to show that there is no other way to do it and that I haven't broken any rules. And then we go through this section here, bypassing the steam, which I found out that there is a lot of it that we actually have clearance under, so I can just run underneath without any problems. And we go to the lift, where we fight more soldiers. Now, I thought this was going to be as simple and as quick as the Stealth 4. I was completely wrong. This is a much bigger space, meaning that these soldiers have more ability and capability to move around, and I did try to do this with guns, and it turned out that CQC was actually the best way. You can see here I died over and over and over again. I just didn't have the capability to do this the way that a lot of people would do it, because there is just too much space and there is too much of a delay. So in the end, I went for stun grenade, kick to the face, kick over the edge, and we got it done. Okay, so I did take a lot of damage because, again, I had to spend more time lining Snake up to get in the hits than anything else, but we did make it down to the next lift, which we simply bypassed a camera and claymore mines by sticking to the edge. Why am I spinning around there? I have no idea. Right, anyway, the next boss fight is Vulcan Raven. That's right, we are now fighting the guy who was in the M1 tank. And honestly, there wasn't really a problem here. There wasn't much difference to how I would normally play it. I mean, okay, again, so the real problem here is the delay and the fact that we walk slower whilst in the box. But in general, it was just the same old story. Chase him around, use the Stinger missile. Okay, so I didn't have any claymore mines to put on the floor, which does come in handy, but later on in the showdown, I did place down some C4, which we was going round and round this one thing. I was waiting for him to line up, and I did detonate the C4. You'll see that in a minute. But in general, it was fine. You know, I mean, it's a fun boss fight. He does have massive range in his view, so you do have to be careful. There it is, there's the C4. And I literally just baited him, going round and round and round, and just kept detonating the C4. It took a long time, very, very long time, actually. But we got it done. By the way, guys, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all of you that have made it to this part of the video. Much love to every single one of you. Please make sure to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Love to all of you! We have now reached the section of the game which is absolutely monumental. We are about to see Metal Gear Rex for the first time, and he is a behemoth. Look at this thing. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I play this game or any of the games in the franchise, there is nothing that compares to that first look at Rex. I mean, it is a 4-story high walking nuclear equipped battle tank that is just mind-blowing. Like, if you came across this thing in real life, you would shit your pants. And I don't care what anyone says. Like, if they'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be like all solid Snake, and I would get a Stinger missile, and I was, no you wouldn't. No you wouldn't. If you was an ordinary person and you saw this thing walking towards you, you would shit your knickers. Like, absolutely you would. And to be honest with you, the main problem with this particular area was that one guard. It's just annoying, and because you're in the box and you have to go into first person view mode, and it's just too much of a pain in the arse to go into the PSG1, I did end up just killing him a lot, and I got caught by the guards. But luckily enough, this is not a 0 death or 0 alert run, this is just the cardboard box run. So that was the main problem, as well as lining up again, guys, but this time it wasn't doors, it was the stupid ladders. You see there, I actually got killed because I didn't have enough time to move Snake into position to get to the ladders. Anyway, we ended up dropping the power card because, you know, we got our hand shot and whatnot, and it fell into this lake of shit. We end up picking it up, and now we have to go all the way back up again. And here you can see one of those moments where I have a problem lining Snake up. Damn you, ladders! Ladders, doors, and gun turrets. Seriously, more problems with these things than the bosses. And this is where we start the PAL key fiasco. Now, it's okay. I find it quite tedious that we need to do this. You can see here as well, I took Snake to the wrong computer and I was hoping that it would automatically trigger the cutscene. It didn't, so I used the CQC punch momentum to get us to the next laptop, the one that we were supposed to do, because I couldn't be bothered to get back into the box and move him around a lot. So yeah, anyway, the PAL key. It's, for me personally, it's a really annoying part of the game. Okay, so they want us to backtrack through the through the environments again, and that's great, I got no problem with that, but it is so tedious because all you need to do is stand in the areas and have the PAL key equipped. Like, there is nothing else. Like, you don't have to worry about the guard. Well, I don't anyway. You don't have to worry about the guards. You don't have to worry about being seen. All you do is stand there, wait for it to freeze, go back up Metal Gear, put it in, and then go back to the blast furnace, and then just hope that you can get through the arena where we fought Vulcan Raven, and hope that it doesn't lose its heat. That is literally all it is. You can see there's some guards in there, but you just walk straight and, it bypasses everything. It is really tedious, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I've done it so many times that I just find this particular section just blur. But I will say right now that Metal Gear Solid is my favourite franchise of all time, my favourite game of all time, next to Pokemon Crystal and Final Fantasy VIII. I've read the novels, I've watched the anime. I know it's a fan-made anime, but it's absolutely amazing anyway. I've played all the games back to front, I know the lore, I've even done some theory crafting and things like that. Involving Grey Fox and Raiden. Like, I am right in with this game, but there are parts of the games which just, it kills the momentum of the game, and the PAL key fiasco is unfortunately one of them. But we have finished with that now, and we are about to face the behemoth itself, Metal Gear Rex. Was I shitting my pants? I absolutely was. Every time I see this thing, I get goosebumps, and I was genuinely concerned about this fight for multiple reasons. I mean, look at this thing. It is a metal titan, and I know that Metal Gear Ray looks sleeker, and Sahelanthropus from number 5 is much bigger, and, you've got the geckos, which are half biological and half machine. I totally get that, but Rex is God tier. Like, this thing is no joke, and I had a lot of concerns going into this fight. Number one, the delay, obviously, which has been a real problem throughout this challenge, but also with the normal fight against Rex, what I would do is throw chaff grenades, and I would just keep running forward towards its legs and then quickly running out before it can use its laser. Unfortunately, you can't move quick enough whilst in the box, and you can see right there I was panicking because of the delayed movement. I was worried. Usually I wouldn't do the running around it either. I wouldn't do any of that, but I was trying to delay its movements as much as possible. Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot that I got squished under its foot, but there you go. Yeah, so anyway, it was a panic fest. Usually, like I say, it's very simple. It would shoot the rockets, you run towards its legs, throw a chaff grenade so it's more likely to miss, and then just run back in time to skip the laser. If it's using its machine gun, then you just move forward again or quickly move out of the way. This was very, very slow, especially in this section, and I was on edge the whole time. You can even see that my life bar drops massively, which is why I was hoarding rations, because I knew that I was going to need them. But we do get through the first stage. Now, the second stage was going to be even more complicated here, because chaff grenades don't really work, and the reason for that is because Liquid is controlling this thing manually. He's not using the VR system and the tracking system. He is using his own eyes. Metal Gear Rex's mouth is open, which means that throwing the chaff grenades doesn't really do that much. But luckily there are ways in the environment which we can exploit its weaknesses, because it does fire out quite fast. So if you're in certain places that back onto the walls, it will bypass you and hit the wall instead of hitting you. But also, because it's being controlled manually, Liquid is more alert to your location, and you can see there I got hit once again, and I just used my final ration. My arse was sweating, guys. It was sweating. We only got him down to nearly half at this point, and I'd already run out of rations, so I quickly ran over there to get the backup just in case we need it. And I was hoping that if I got close enough, I would be able to keep firing one after the other, but because I was in such a blind panic, I forgot about the distance of the laser, and I ended up getting hit by it multiple times, which absolutely annihilated my health. You can see we are in real trouble here, and I was literally, like, my hands were sweating, my ass was sweating. I was like, this is over. Am I going to be able to do this in one go? And soon you will find out the answer. But seriously, I thought this was going to be relatively easy, this challenge. Like, I didn't think it would come with so many problems. But obviously, it is a challenge, so I should have expected it, but I didn't. I went in way too confident. But luckily enough, we did it. We took down every boss inside a box, and we even destroyed Metal Gear. However, that is where the challenge That is where the challenge ends, because we don't have access to the box from now on. So we take down Liquid in the normal way by kicking his ass off of the edge of Metal Gear Rex's head. And then we get into the car with Otacon, because unfortunately we did submit during the torture scene, so Meryl is left behind, and we take Otacon. But we had the rations to back us up, so this really wasn't a problem either, and we go into the light, and the challenge has officially been completed. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video just as much as I have enjoyed doing this challenge. These results here are absolutely horrendous. I don't think I've ever killed that many enemies, like, ever, any time I've played this game, but it really has forced me to do it in ways that I wouldn't usually do. So I've really enjoyed it, guys. I hope you have too. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye now.